Hello again. I'm back from a side quest. A very, very enriching, many months long side quest, which I think, yeah, obviously is just a euphemism for getting my heart broken again. But um, here we are. Um, Ironic that there's just so much dancing happening in this video. So I made these paintings, this piece back in November, I think. I've been a little wayward since then, but it was right when Rosalia's Lux came out, and so could not stop jamming that album. It's so good. Actually, I want to revisit it right now. I was making these paintings for this like large wooden grid that was supposed to be in a show, and I was painting at the very last minute before the show. And so I knew that I was pretty anxious about it turning out the way that I hoped. So my hack for myself was that I would just make two of each of the little paintings. So there were supposed to be four total, each one a symbol. And so for the eye, I thought, well, I'll make two eye paintings, and then I can pick whichever one I like better. And then as I'm getting feeling stuck with one, I can just move to the next and kind of keep the energy moving without getting stuck in like this isn't good enough. So um, this was, I thought, a brilliant idea. Um, Long story short, I ended up using both of the eyes. I ended up liking them both, and then really just abandoning the rest of my plan, because that's how painting happens a lot. A lot. You start with an idea, you start with a thing, and then you just kind of end up somewhere else. And so you'll just see me kind of bouncing back and forth between these two eyeballs. On the one hand, I'm a little disappointed in myself that I haven't made a video since November, and on the other hand, it's kind of nice to look back on something 6 months ago as my future self and be aware of all the things that lie in this person's future, but also I think I'm getting frustrated because I can't find something, which happens a lot. Yeah, I don't know. Just I think I feel like gratitude for this person on the screen that I'm watching now, and I think that um, it's sort of an interesting reflection tool that I'm kind of just now discovering and realizing. And the back to my present moment, sitting here in my kitchen, staring out the window, watching a squirrel on my tree, and kind of coming out of the fog of the end of a relationship, which I'm sure you've all been there. We've all been there. If you're doing it right, I would say, if you're participating, you're gonna get some bumps and bruises. Um, Lately, I've been thinking about it like getting another Girl Scout badge. Something to be proud of. Um, what I do know, what doesn't change, is that I always return back to creative work, whether it's writing. Well, it's usually writing or painting, but sometimes also furniture. And it's this great constant, and I don't know, like, how are people coping without it? Genuinely, I want to know. And I was thinking, I came across this poem recently that I really, really love. I won't read the whole thing, but it's called Throw Yourself Like Seed, by Miguel de Unamuno. And the last two stanzas really struck me. Throw yourself like seed as you walk and into your own field. Don't turn your face, for that would be to turn it to death. And do not let the past weigh down your motion. Leave what's alive in the furrow, what's dead in yourself. For life does not move in the same way as a group of clouds. From your work, you will be able one day to gather yourself. And yeah, there's this idea that like my creative work is probably, one of the most constant lifelong relationships I'll have. I mean, there is my parents, my child, um, my closest friends and family, but this is one of my most intimate connections. What happens in my heart and brain and in the studio. And I was just talking with my good buddy Phil on the phone earlier. He's an incredible furniture maker, artist, creative designer, and he was talking about how he has been thinking lately about doing things with his future self in mind, in a way that it's like setting oneself up in the future. And I think that relates to that poem, that like we lay these seeds and we will, what is the line? Um, from your work you will be able one day to gather yourself. I think that's how I feel when I sort of walk into my studio. I it took me a while to build that room, to set up that room, to fill it with work. And there's something about how it feels to walk in there. Like there's all this past investment, um, for really no other purpose than like for myself, I suppose. And um, it feels like a loving transmission. Oh, I'm really, I'm really struggling. Yep, there's the middle finger. I was really stressed when I was making this, because I was painting at the very, very last minute, and I knew that a lot of people were going to come to the show. A lot of people were going to see it. It was the first time I was really like exhibiting work with painting in it. Um, and I love to just like get real close to a deadline, and then like lose my mind. So that's, yeah, you'll see some of that happening. I forgot about that part. I wonder if you can hear the rain outside. It's coming down. Um, what is she looking for now? Who knows? I really got to figure out the focus thing. I will figure out the focus thing. Sorry about that. I'm gonna Google some video stuff. I promise. I guess another thing I'm realizing as I watch this painting from more than 6 months ago, 7 months ago, is just kind of how high stakes and how uncomfortable it can feel to be doing the work, but how after some time it, like I walk past this piece in my house all the time and it just brings me joy. I forgot like how much it kind of hurt to make it. I mean, it wasn't like all painful, but there was some some wrestling internally going on. But there is with most things that I make, and I think I used to try and figure out like how can I do this in a way that's not painful? Like, does it have to hurt? Does it have to be so uncomfortable? And I think that's maybe the wrong question. And that the question is really, how do I just learn to live with it? Just keep making stuff anyway. How to just accept it. Like it's just part of the trip, it's part of it. Not that it has to hurt to be good, but I don't want to paint the same thing over and over again. I want to, what excites me is exploring and trying new subject matter and trying new materials and trying things I've never done before. So of course it's gonna feel uncomfortable to a degree, and how can I make peace with that? Um, Still figuring that out, but also like we're so back. I feel like we're so back right now, you know? I'm always in the cycle of we're so back, it's so over. And I've cycled through that probably like a dozen times in the last 7 months. And just watching an old version of myself make a painting that I love today and reflecting on it and knowing that I'm going to get back into my studio. And um, I'm kind of annoyed. I've made several paintings in the last 7 months, but didn't film it. And so I've vowed to get back on the train. Um, yeah. Anyway, here's the paintings mounted in their grid. There's like a carved flower and a mirror element.